Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, today we're gonna be covering X-Men episode 5. Now, on episode 4, we left off on issue 66. Now, at that time, X-Men had been canceled even after they had superstar artists like Neil Adam and Jim Steranko on the last issues. The sales had picked up at this time, but it wasn't enough to save the book because they still had poor sales and they canceled it. But the X-Men characters were still around in the Marvel Universe. They just didn't have their own title. So in this book, we're going to be covering Marvel Masterworks Volume 7. Now here, there's going to be no X-Men issues being because they didn't have their own ongoing series. But Beast, they were trying to make a push with Beast. Now at this point, Beast was going to be having his own series. It was going to be in the Amazing Adventures. So they just titled it Amazing Adventures of Beast. He started on issue 11 all the way up to issue 17 of Amazing Adventures. So that's what we're going to be covering right here. This was during the time where Beast was a normal human. They wanted to spice things up, change him a little bit because what they were doing with the characters was not working. So they made him blue, as you can see on the cover of this Marvel Masterworks. This is when he turns into the Beast we know now. And he's no longer the human form, and now he's like almost like some type of werewolf or something, right? In these early issues, he was gray, not blue at first. And the way he's dressed is very reminiscent of the Wolfman. Here we're going to be covering the timeline from January 1971 all the way up to March of 1973. So quite a few years at this point and still no X-Men title. Along with those Amazing Adventure books, there was a few appearances of Iceman in the Spider-Man comics, right? Just so you know, Iceman's still around there, but the characters are just floundering, making guest appearances in Hulk, Spider-Man, and other people's titles, right? And other superheroes books. And now in this book, we're also gonna include a few issues of Spider-Man, a few issues of the Hulk. I'll put every issue that's in here in the description down below in case you're curious of that stuff. Iceman appeared a few times on the Spider-Man books. Other X-Men characters appeared on the Incredible Hulk. The characters were just floundering around, so they just made guest appearances in other titles, just so you kind of know they're still around. Very much like what happened with the Fantastic Four around 2017. They had no series, no ongoing, so the characters were just randomly coming out on different people's, different superheroes' titles, right? So X-Men were going through the same process here in at the end of 1970 and the beginning of 1971. First opening page of the Amazing Adventures, you immediately see Beast. He's already in his new Beast form. He's purple here, kind of hairy. It's the artwork is by Tom Sutton, and the writing is Gary Conway. Beast, being Hank McCoy, has a girlfriend here at this moment, and you see him hanging out with his girlfriend, and they're like looking at the moonlight and so forth. It definitely has kind of, even though this is a romantic moment, it definitely has a eerie vibe to it, right? It almost reminds me of the Wolfman. I think that's what they were originally, what was gonna be their take on him, because you see the moon here and it's dark and whatnot. And then he starts hinting at how they play a little bit with the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde idea. He's not happy being a mutant. He tries to find some type of cure, and in doing so, he makes his condition worse, right? Because he's a very smart guy, a scientist and so forth. And he ends up taking this thing, this serum he created, and it made him into a beast now. So now he can't even walk around in public because he looks like a monster. So from here, the book takes another turn where sometimes he feels like the Wolfman when he's dressed up and walking around. And sometimes he comes off as a complete brute and almost comes off like a Hulk-like villain or a Hulk-like creature. Now he created this harness and a rubber mask so that he could go back to looking like Hank McCoy when he needs to go to work and stuff like that. In one of these issues, he meets up with Iron Man, aka Tony Stark. They kind of have a vague disagreement and they get into a fight. Now here, this is important that at this point, we don't know if he's a good guy or bad guy. The public is just introduced to him for the first time. And Tony Stark lets everyone know, just because he's running around, like running amok and so forth, he's like, don't chase this guy down. Let him go once he started running away from the fight. He says, this guy did not look like a villain to me, right? He felt like a tortured soul, you know, very much like the Hulk. He's like, just let him go and let him be at peace. So Iron Man makes that appearance. Then the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants finds out, hey, there's this new mutant, right? So they want to quickly recruit him. And he works with them, stealing jewels and so forth for a while. Then he double crosses them because he's actually not a villain. He was never going to be one. But it made for an interesting story to be like, wow, are they going to take this character down this road, right? Is he going to now be a new villain, right? So for a minute, it had you thinking, hey, maybe this is the path they're going to take with him. But he went back to, at the end of the day, being a good guy. These issues, they're very, you could skip them. They're very skippable outside of the part where the important part would be here you get to find out how Hank McCoy became the Beast. Outside of that, they're kind of like short one and dones or 2-issue stories. They do have a different feel. They don't have a superhero X-Men feel to them. They have almost like a, I don't want to say exactly a horror vibe, but it's like they were flirting with a horror comic book here. They were fun to read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And on the next episode, I'm going to cover the Marvel Masterworks Volume 8. Again, this is still not going to have any X-Men issues, but it's going to cover issues where the X-Men made special guest appearances on. So hopefully you guys liked this video. You hit that like button if you did. And other than that, I'll check you guys out next time.